comfort and peace on their families. Lord, I ask you for the protection of all of our men and women that are fighting around the world, all people that protect us, our law enforcement and first responders. We pray for an end or something for this COVID, Father, as everyone is suffering so much. It's these things in your Son, Jesus' precious name.
Liberty to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
And I did not call the time that we call to order, 5:12. Okay, item 3, roll call. Randy?
Councilmember Carter?
Here.
Councilmember Howard? Hold on. Here. Councilmember Gonzalez?
Here.
Councilmember Worrell? He's here. Councilmember Smith?
Yes. Here.
Mayor Houston?
Here. All present. Present or virtual. Item 4, new business, discussion, consideration, possible action on each of the following items. Discussion of the 2021 fiscal year budget and related matters. Let me read the part up at the top, please, about the Facebook. Before we get into that, I apologize. This meeting will be held in accordance with Texas Government Code, Section 551.127, as modified by order of Governor Greg Abbott. One of the members of the Board of Directors may attend and participate in the meeting via telephone and/or video conference. Due to the COVID-19 emergency, Laguna Vista City Council will live stream the meeting on the town of Laguna Vista's Facebook page at https://www.facebook.com/LVTexas/ for comments. Okay, now back to our fiscal budget. City Manager, Ed.
Yes, if you have in your package, you have the inter-office memorandum. I'm just gonna go over some of the background before we do the budget. Do you see it?
Yes.
I'm just gonna read it. Everybody has a copy? Okay, as we review the cash budget.
Hold on. So tell me who has their, who's the mic needs to be turned off?
Do I turn off the mic?
Okay, hold on, let me fix that.
Well, it's on you, and then the speaker up. Yours is on.
And then yours is on.
You know, I have to read it.
You have to unmute so we can hear you.
Should be on you.
Should be on the attorney's phone, or the attorney.
They're trying to fix this number. Did you get yours up here? So this one up here, when you press that one. Now, okay, how's that score?
Is everything okay?
No, we have, Ms. Howard's not moving. Hold on, let me keep working on it. Okay, so start, unmute and start talking and see if you can hear me. No, Mr. Mesa.
Okay, testing, can you hear me?
Can you hear Mr. Mesa?
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Can I come to my phone? Okay, hold on. You're sure you're unmuted? It still shows you the position. Mr. Mesa. Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Unmute. Hold on. Okay, now try Mr. Mesa.
Unmute.
Unmute.
Okay, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. testing.
You're pressing the onion at the bottom one, right?
Yes. You see?
So we have 9 million of new growth.
Is it this one?
So press.
I wonder what's the, maybe.
Testing,
Yeah,
1, 2,
you got a
3.
good year, 1 to 3%, you know?
Oh, let me
You want me to go somewhere else?
Go to the corner.
Good, fine.
So,
Alright, I'm just gonna leave my phone on and then maybe
you want to put it in?
You know what, 'cause that's not good.
Okay, so let me see, is it onion?
You just say,
I do this, right? Unmute.
It's not the
do you want them to onion?
Okay, so onion.
Unmute.
And then, is
Testing,
your
1, 2,
monitor
3.
here? Like, we're not, can you hear?
2.6%.
You put your stuff in?
That's right.
Can you hear, Mr.
So the rest
Vanessa?
That's when the need center, you want to be seeing something like, oh, yeah. Normally,
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
I can see it.
when we do our.
Now I heard that.
Put the volume. They
Oh, you gotta turn the volume up.
across the board on values.
Okay, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Why is so, why did that go?
Okay, now.
Because I didn't want to do
They can correct.
They didn't know.
Okay, yeah.
You overstated that.
crickets. Crickets.
Okay. We'll get back to the interoffice memorandum. As you review the tax budget proposed for fiscal year 2020-2021, please consider the following. The current total tax rate is 0.354124. The breakdown of tax rate is maintenance operation, 0.319624, and interest and sinking, 0.034500. And it right there has a history of the total tax rates from 2019 to 2020, 2018 to 2019, and 2017 to 2018. And it shows that it hasn't really changed from the 3 past years. Our certified value, which came in like last week for 2020, is $338,140. The next page, the effective tax rate is now the no new revenue rate. They changed that. As indicated in the tax 2020 tax rate calculation worksheet, the effective tax rate is 0.334459. And you see where it was calculated with the rate was 87.7 for the M&O, and the INS is 12.3%, which is 0.0418. So it came out to a total levy of $1,085,578, and that's how we're starting with the budget. The last year rate, it was $1,136,240. So you can see right here the interest sinking in fund. The debt for the fund is, which we'll be paying in March 1st, 2021, is $19,056. And September 1st, 2021, $89,056. As of this day, the town has $101,581 in this interest and sinking fund. The principal payment in the amount of $86,735 is due on September 1st, and leaving a balance of $14,345 for fiscal year on October 1st. The town currently has $665,375 in cash. And the bank, this was as of what date?
As of that, the bank is right now, I checked it
Okay,
today.
as of today, which is August 4th, 2020. This includes the cash in the general fund and in the reserve account. These are typical for emergency or one-time purchase, typically capital outlays, etc. The cash in the back for the past 2 years on the same day is as follows. July 2018 was $688,042. July 31st, 2017 was $854,885. And please let me know if you have any questions.
I have a question.
Yes.
For number 3, cash in bank, the town currently has $665,375.69 cash in bank as of
Yes, that was as of August, this is as of August 4th, right? You checked it?
2020.
2020, yes.
That was just not
Done.
updated.
Okay, thank you. I thought you said that. Just double checking. Do we have cash and bank?
Yes, cash and bank?
Well, I know, but it says 2018 and 2017.
Except it's written in the paragraph above it.
It's, yes. in the bill.
So what?
Oh, we didn't do the 2019. So it's the same amount since?
So the first part, the town currently has $665,375.69. That's what we have as of today. That date is wrong. It should be today's date. So I don't have what 2019 was.
Okay. Thank you.
My apologies.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And, there's just a support documentation of how they did the taxes and the calculation, all this is.
From the county, right?
Okay. Questions? Comments?
So we can start with
I think there's all sorts of corrections I got.
Yes.
I was thinking, no questions, all right, good,
Yeah,
let's go.
let's go.
And we're done.
It's great.
All right, I'll,
Go ahead.
do we have what our current collection rate is?
Current? I'm not, current?
It should have, like last time you got a distribution from the county, they send you a piece of paper, right, with the distribution on it, and it'll tell you the percentage collected on the bottom.
Okay.
Because it seems like our collections are low this year.
Yes, you can just see it on the, you can see it on the first row that our actual, compared to last year, property taxes current, right, that's what you're referring to, right?
The top line,
Yeah.
41,000. I mean, our actual
Yes,
collected
why
is
is-
one,
Why is it so low?
it's not that.
Do you know, Mr. Nassim?
I-
Because usually, I remember from previous years, it was usually spot on. Our collectible tax rate was pretty high, so. Especially because we had such a high building rate, you know, and there were so many more properties, so I'm just curious why it's low.
Yeah, I would. Why is that low?
That's what you're asking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They sent us,
It was at our July meeting, that we had some.
Like right now, it shows we only have an 89% collection rate.
yes.
And we typically have it like 95,
Yeah.
96,
Oh, okay.
97. You know, and you guys are proposing up here to do a 99%. And if we're only at 89% right now, that's
That's lower than, okay.
$100,000 right there. So,
So on the, if I'm reading this report right, which I think this is the one that you're saying, I didn't distribute it, but I think this is what it says total. I don't have July's numbers deposits, so I don't know if that's the number. This is this one, for the 2019 total. This one goes from October to 7/20. So this number, I will say, everything is entered up into June. I don't have July all the way entered yet.
Oh, so it might be higher.
Right. I mean, I don't think it's just a month's worth, but
Well, that could be $100,000. you know, if we're at 1.2,
it's only 22.
you know,
It's only like $12,000 more. And then, see, this property tax, are you sure this is right?
What they have in the numbers before, right?
So,
I have the
so-
budget from last year, I can
so
double
they
check.
overstated, it looks like on the budget, the beginning property tax is current by $100,000.
yeah, from last year.
From last year, like here it says 1038 of the balance. That's the current levy, and they said the levy here is 1131. So, right off the top, we lost $100,000.
With the new tax rate?
No, just with,
You can okay?
I
Here.
know, but if our tax rate was higher. No, I know that, but if our tax rate was higher, this number would be higher. Well, that's just a budget, that is what I'm saying.
yeah, I mean, this is, certified roll without that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, last year's budget, the one that we filed, it says 131. Or 1,131. 1,131,000.
We've never been that far off with that. I wonder what happened.
Further questions, Mr. Carter?
What sheet are you looking at?
First stage.
This, can you put copy of
Yeah,
this?
absolutely.
This
Right here.
is the
Because
sheet.
his is different.
Oh, she just
On your
looked at
camera.
it.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I was looking at the back side. On your
Yeah, no, that's a,
Okay,
Mr. Carter, continue? You wanna wait till we get the paper back?
yeah, it's, this one says 1143,193.
So what you're proposing is that our proposed budget there needs to be $100,000 lower.
No,
What are you proposing?
the beginning budget's wrong.
Yes, but that was what we was set for last year, so
Yeah,
what are we gonna do with this
The
year?
proposed budget. See, we have a 98% collected here. Makes no sense.
So that, the numbers are
So,
all.
and they're saying 1085, I'm saying we should have there, I think we should go with, like on this page there, right, with the tax rates and the dollar amount,
the original.
right, we used last year's tax rate. The same rate we've been using forever.
But can we, without forcing an election or a petition or all that stuff that we talked about?
Yes, the threshold is actually pretty high because of the way the legislature calculates what they call the de minimis rate. And so we are, we've got a lot of cushion in between either a mandatory election or even a petition-driven election. We have even more to avoid a petition-driven election if we were to adopt a resolution directing the calculation of our effective rate or no new revenue rate in, at the rate that special taxing unit does, which is the old rate, the old 1.08, because of the Hurricane Hanna disaster.
So you're saying, and you, Mr. Porter, that we can go to 0.354124 like we did last year as opposed to the 0.3344, right?
Yeah, no, that's just our effective tax rate, which just means that we'll raise the same amount of money as we raised last year.
Yeah.
But if we stick with the same tax rate that we had last year, we're still below the, I'm sorry to say rollback. But then, can you get the word you're saying?
Oh, voter approval rate.
So
Yeah.
this is the number you want to go with?
Yeah.
This is the number that they get the budget on?
Right, we we did the budget on the lower.
0.334459.
Yeah.
And you're saying we should go back to 0.3541.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, totally. We stick with the same budget. We stick with the same tax rate.
Can I make one statement with that? Even with the current, if you say at last year's, at the 0.35, with the budget that we've laid out in the spreadsheet, as it stands, we would still be under budget for what? We would still have to take-
$100,000
Yeah.
without capital outlay.
Mhm.
I know.
Okay, just wanted to.
What would the,
Thank you, Andy.
what would be the property taxes supposed to be if we're going at 35412, can you do math with me? So we're at this number. So we get this number off of this number, right? So what is it, what is this number gonna be?
Yeah, I don't know where you got the 1085, 578 from.
Right there, so on the, if you're looking at this part of the memo, the levy right here. is
Okay,
the-
but that's the total of M&L and INS.
So what I did was I used the format that Vela had used in his last, proposal, and that's where he got his 130, the one.
That's where you got the 1131.
Correct. So that's where I put it.
This is why I think we should have it in funds. This is why the general fund money should be general fund money and INS money should be INS money. It is totally, our INS money is legally bound, right? It has to be spent on INS. We're stuck with that. So we just put that in the bucket and throw it away. And then we use the rest of the money for what we have here. Does that make sense?
Great.
So in theory, that number right there, the 1085, will actually be 1135,240.
Which was like last year.
Okay. But it actually should be 1003361, and then another line item for 131.
Agreed.
So,
Yes.
I agree with that.
But it just makes the numbers lower. So that's how I got it. I'm up to changing it to however you want.
yeah, let's just make two. I mean, in the budget, it'll be that way, because you'll have to put a budget in for INS and a budget in for M&L,
Okay.
right? For the general fund and INS. So that increases our,
$49,662. So we just added about $50,000.
yeah, 51308.
About
Yeah. You're halfway there.
You're all right.
Do we have to vote on that?
No, this is just a workshop. We have to,
But we need to start with the,
Yeah.
with the tax rate and see where we're
we
gonna
need
end
to
up.
start, yes, thank
So
you.
that's plus
The other consideration, and this is, again, because of that Senate Bill 2 legislative change, is that if the town was going to propose a tax rate above the voter approval rate, we would have to do it earlier than normal, because it would have to be done in anticipation
before the end
of,
of August.
it would be August 17th would be our deadline.
The poor people in this town got a flat 3% tax increase across the board. And then we have a 2.8% increase from new builds. So a total of 5.9, 5.8, whatever, percent increase in value. So,
I don't think there's a scenario whereby we would have to have an election. I mean, you'd have to.
no, we'd have to
Double.
Yeah,
put money in our pockets.
We'd have to go, because of our size, our tax base, we'd have to go really, really high to trigger an election. So I'm not worried about that.
So otherwise, we don't have to trigger anything?
That's right. The election's only automatic if we set it at 53 cents. So that's,
Very much.
below that, but above the effective rate or the no new revenue rate, it reverts back to the old method of citizens circulating petition, potentially triggering an election in May. In other words, we're still under the old standard.
lots of legal,
Lots of legal.
yeah.
Okay, and then on the delinquent taxes, we collected 10,500 last year. So far. You're at 63. You must have done good, it must have been a good month. Well, it went out to the lawyers last month, so. They
It all
sure
went up to the
they collected.
collection.
So why don't we bump that up to like 7? It's still with what we had last year,
Yeah.
7,500.
I agree.
Now, we're gonna do for the property taxes current, that was gonna be like last year, which is 1,135,000, is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Yes,
yes, because we're bumping it up to the 0.35412
which was last year.
tax.
So we're gonna increase it $51,308.
And also for the building
You guys
permits.
need to remember to unmute to talk. Mr. Royale's not hearing most of this. And Ms. Howard.
And also for the building permits.
Let's go down this, instead of jumping around, let's go down
Penalties and interest.
line by line. We skipped library miscellaneous.
So Mayor, unmute when you do that.
Thank you, and you just said it, I'm sorry. I propose that we go down line by line and not skip around, and our next item would be library miscellaneous. Any change on that?
No?
So 25.
The library doesn't open, I might have to lower it.
We had proposed 1,000, it was 2,500 originally. And
I
we used
think that's fine.
Put it as 20, put it as 1,000,
Yeah.
is that okay?
That's fine, yeah.
It had been 25,
It's the lowest mostly.
so you're okay with the 1,000 put up?
Yeah.
And to penalties and interest. Last year was budgeted 6,000 and actual was 4,615. And the difference was 1,384, so. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
You get like 85 that you've already collected.
We're at both penalties and interest.
Can you hear me?
I think that's fine. I personally think that's fine. 5,307.
Can you hear me?
I think you should go to 8,000.
Why?
Hello?
You already were up for 6.
Yeah, but that's old numbers, these are more current numbers.
What does that say?
For penalties and interest?
Penalties and interest were like 8,500.
Why is this wrong?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Mr. McCarter just pointed out that penalties and interest, the more current rates, but it's not on there, it's at 8,500. So he suggested bumping that up from 5,307 to 8,500.
Okay, we're on what, the penalties and interest?
Yeah, yeah, so far this year you've collected 71.57 in penalties and interest and 13.82 in collection fees. So,
So we're bumping it to
8,500.
85. Building permits, you did very well with the building all that.
So I personally think that should be higher because not only there's several communities, the Artist Gardens is going on. I think it would be safe to say 125,000 there. I thought, gosh, we're already at 133. The building is not slowing down.
There's
I mean,
more subdivisions in top
So
of that.
I think
we increased our rates.
I would be happy with 125, even higher. I don't know, I don't want to be too overzealous. Thoughts?
But 125?
That's what I was
number exactly what I had in my head, 125, yeah. I was kinda doing the math, between 133 and 109, and it hit 125,
So that just added another 26,000. About, I'm rounding.
Business license, I guess we don't, haven't done anything on that.
You're not gonna get much on that.
Court fines,
Court fines, of course, because of COVID going down. And budgeted 85,000 last year, actual was 44,065. And we put this, proposed 64,000, about 932, it would be 65,000, we want to go up.
I don't know, I'm worried about, we're still in COVID, we're still doing
You don't
remote
like
work.
that.
I don't know what to do there. I would rather,
What will you do?
Chief, any ideas on that
I
one?
would rather be conservative.
Court fines?
Go up, how much your revenue should be?
I mean, we've only collected 44,000 so far, which is half of what we budgeted.
Yeah.
It just makes it for a difficult time. I don't know what to say. The officers have been stopping cars. We just stopped a couple weeks ago. I thought it would slow down again because we stopped a car where and arrested an individual with drugs, transporting drugs from San Antonio to South Padre Island. And we go, "You're under arrest," and he goes, "Well, you can't arrest me." And he pulls out his note from his doctor that he tested positive for COVID. So we actually had the judge come over to the side of the road and arraign him on the side of the road because the jail won't take him. So it's
Yeah, you're in a pickle.
yeah, it's just and then if we arrest someone or they don't have a license or whatever the case may be, we can't put them in jail for a Class C right now. And it's you know, I don't really know what to say. It's a tough situation.
I think we need to keep it low.
Yeah, me too.
And then hope for the best.
45,
45, yeah.
so then we just lost 20.
Well, 40.
45,
Yes, I think that's good.
court bond, same thing.
Court bonds, yeah, that was very low.
Yeah.
10,000 maybe?
Sounds
Chief?
good.
And that goes back, court bonds goes back to the same situation, which usually stop someone without a driver's license or no insurance, until in jail or they make bond, and we can't put any, right now, we're having nothing to go, and those are the people that don't pay their citations anyway.
So 10,000?
I think you're comfortable with that.
And that's what,
10,000.
The court cost to state?
Who was figuring what that was, huh?
So, with that,
yeah, we're just kind of in a handcuff.
Same thing, just keep
Do
it,
anything.
keep it low and
What does
hope.
the court cost the state though? Is that the money that we collect and we give back to the state?
so,
We
so,
just like
yeah,
it in and out?
we get a portion, yeah.
It's just a wash, so.
Usually the bond money, it's like, I know one year I kept track of it, it was like $48,000 for this year or not.
But you have a corresponding expense on that, right?
Yes.
That equals it?
It doesn't equal it, and I don't know why it didn't equal it last year, and, I have to do some research to figure out what I know we just have the program set up with the percentages, so I have to do some research as to
Well,
what
that's-
percentages.
For the budget purposes, let's just make sure that we have the same amount on the budget
Okay.
for revenue and the same expense, and the same number for expense on that other
Well, 'cause
side.
I think it's different because we do get to retain a portion of it, so I'll
I know,
figure
but I
out.
think that we should just keep it on the budget side the
Budget
same,
side.
because I'm sure it's not a big percentage, you know, maybe 5%, something like that.
What do you
So
think?
like that on 50?
50? That's good.
It's a wash anyway, it doesn't, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's about $100.
Okay, court technology, what is that? Where do we get that money?
So when somebody pays a fine, we have a portion that we have to pay to the state, and then a portion that they give us to pay for our court technology, and a portion that we get to remain for our building security.
So
So we just get to keep a portion of the, so there's a portion that we pay to the state, there's a portion that the state lets us keep, and a portion for technology, and a portion for building security.
Just let you know,
So 1,500?
I know,
Should it get that?
she's on the email, I don't know, she got the original one, I don't know.
Current
I
is
can't send them to you.
1,500, so we're 1,500.
Can we send something?
Maya,
2,000?
Yes, I think keep it at 1,500,
15?
15 and hope for the best.
Yeah, I think 15.
Or building security, I think that's the same number she just explained, so.
Yes, keep it at 1,300 or 1,500, it's 1,300.
Which is that one, the.
That's court billing security. Court technology, 1,500, court billing security, 1,300.
I'll make a copy of it.
Okay, is that some new stars?
I think it's a good number.
Yeah,
That's a
good,
good-
good there.
Yeah, because we're still gonna get winter Texans here.
Yes.
And that's when we get the bulk of our money, so.
And people buying and going and buying food. So, what should that be? 125?
We'll keep it at 125, I think that's a reasonable number. Because I do think we're gonna lose a lot of the July and August sales tax dollars. Not a whole lot of traffic right now.
Franchise fees?
Why would those go down? Is it just,
I don't know why those would go down.
Less use of, I don't
Oh,
know.
should pretty
The general
stable.
economy, I don't know. But I think we should drop it too, since we've only gotten 108, I don't think we should bother budget 126.
It could have gone down also because franchise taxes weren't due till later this year. You know, franchise taxes weren't
And
due.
those are usually real stable.
Yeah, but we didn't have to file franchise tax until July 15th this year.
That's true,
Okay.
that's
Those
right.
numbers aren't in.
And so, you know, everything got pushed back.
So one thing,
I think
Just looking at the numbers we're throwing out, we're
I think
trying to stay
126
positive, but
is-
how many-
126?
Keep it
oh
like
no,
it
we're
is.
only at 108 currently,
Yeah, but I think it's because of
the July thing.
the
You
things
still-
getting pushed back.
So we still have another month or so?
Yeah.
Let's keep that.
So just 126, 000?
Yeah. And get rid of all the decimal points, okay?
Yes, round them, it's easier.
Around and that's true.
We don't take coins.
Let's just go.
I do, what are you talking about?
Just saying, we have to be the
Just
exact
round it up.
change now.
We have a coin shortage in the nation. Let's not worry about it.
What you do, press an average button or something?
I did,
Yeah,
that's what I did.
That's
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, it's an average button, yeah.
Lease
Lease
agreement,
agreements?
11,000.
Yeah. That's it.
Interest and dividend?
We're still, lease of.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lease agreement.
11. It's
11,000.
Interest and dividends were also, why is that so low? Same thing, right? Should we keep, what should we do with that? I mean, this is like,
Is that just from keeping our money in the money market, or it is? And in the bond market, I mean, everything's to hell right now. You're not gonna get nothing.
Hey, I mean, that one.
let's keep that at
Settle
5.
down.
It's gonna go negative pretty soon.
Oh, what it-
Yeah.
What should we do with our
5,000.
5.
5? Special events?
No,
Because
hold
we
on,
didn't-
let me,
How many?
I'm
things
sorry,
about the budget?
if that's what that's from, Mr. Carter, I will say though, the bank statements have not been, there was a problem with the bank statements and we don't have to get into, but the interest for the general fund may not be applied from as far back as November. So I can get back to you on what, I can do a quick calculation on the bank statements from.
Like the, next time that we meet, if you have a better number,
Yeah,
Then,
because
you know,
if that's
then
what
we'll-
that is,
then we'll
then
come
I
back
feel
to it.
like, you know, that I don't want you guys to undershoot, because it very well could not reflect in here because of that.
Special events, because we didn't have music on the main, we didn't have any of
We don't
those.
have anything.
I'm not sure. It's the $700 was on, I guess, thank Christmas. It was on.
Well, hopefully by Halloween, we might be able to sort of,
Halloween,
most of
Christmas.
we get revenue from
But it builds good numbers.
that. This is so unprecedented.
The miscellaneous, it's not relevant when you think about it.
Let's keep special events at that, and if we need
Yeah.
to, we can,
At 5,000?
some from
5,000?
CDC.
5,000?
5,000.
Now, miscellaneous,
Yes.
do you wanna explain that?
Yeah,
Not
please explain
really.
that.
It's just unreal, it's just an explanation.
So, when we were being taught how to enter cash receipts, if the vendor wasn't part of our system, we were advised to just hit miscellaneous and put it in the rest of the deposit in. Little did I know until Friday when I'm running all these reports that I'm like, how do we have 13,000 in miscellaneous? Well, it could be a new contractor that is paying his building permit fund, and because he wasn't in it, and I looked back the years prior, and it's been a big number years prior, so it's obviously something, a practice that has been done that will not continue.
Will be correct.
That will be
Yes,
correct.
it'll be correct, this is ridiculous.
So I need to go back and find out what that 13,000 is. I would literally have to just go back through every receipt that's done as that to see what the receipt was. And so was it building? Was it a brick paver? Was it a notary fee? Was it, I mean, it could be a number of anything.
I personally don't want any miscellaneous anything in that line. I would,
They
it should be
in
very
there.
well
Very
earmarked,
low, yeah.
everything.
Is that in your capable hands?
Duly noted.
Correct, I don't want any, there's several places here that I've noted that's miscellaneous. I don't think.
There's a lot of vague.
There's a lot of vague,
It
yes.
should be very clear exactly where everything goes, so
We'll change that, because that's,
I would even put that at 1,000 just for this, I don't know, what you guys think for the little thing here and
I
there.
think,
We'll
I
take
think
it
we
out?
keep it the way it is, because she's gonna spread it out.
Find out.
She's gonna take that money and then spread it throughout the budget, so in total, it'll still be there. It'll just be
Somewhere
categorized in the
else.
right place.
Mhm. Let
Whatever
her
that
use her
is.
So
investigative
we'll look
skills.
low in miscellaneous next year, but hopefully
So maybe
13,000 has.
13?
Just, yeah, 13,000.
Since we're not dealing in coins.
You only got a 10 key?
Brief pavers? Oh, no, I think I'm gonna open it, right?
Next page is a recap.
the budget proposals. So now we're gonna see of course, the proposed revenue is gonna change.
All right, Ed, you want to go through these
Yes.
for us, please?
Okay, so proposed revenue is gonna change the topics. Proposed expenditures, $1,872,402.10. I mean, 10 cents. Excuse me. Administration, $5,102.66. Police, $647,362.18. Fire, $124,707. EMS, $60,000. Library, $147,809.34. Parks, $35,000. Building, $21,510. Municipal Court, $145,953.68. Public Works, $172,757.24. And Animal Control, $10,200. As a total of $220,476.98. And then we go,
Any questions on this?
No, I think those two last.
I got I did the math, kind of what we did, so I got 1671,036 for the revenue.
okay,
Oh,
61?
1671?
1671,036.
Last one was like, okay.
So we're 201,366 over.
You can never be over.
No.
That's probably what we're doing.
that's why we're having this.
No, that's why we do this.
No, that's what.
It's not the bookkeeper, it's the previous bookkeeper.
and that's why we'll have at least another, I would think, probably 2 meetings.
Yes,
One or two.
yes.
I can remember One year, it seemed like we met every week. Councilman Schneer was here. Many meetings. Okay, well, let's come back to this proposal later on and go, let's go through it.
I just have a quick question about
Okay.
the next page. Is capital outlay included in these numbers, or is it not included in these numbers?
No, I did not include them in these numbers.
Okay,
They're
that's
not
something I
included?
really wanted to know. I had a
Right.
feeling that they weren't.
Thank you, Nate.
They're not because they're not part of the operating expenses in the
One
budget.
time expense, but.
But if we're already 200,000
No, I just wanted to, that's what I mean, we had to know, we had to know that.
I'm
So we
just
had to
panicked.
be like, ah.
I'm panicked if we're already 200 over.
Right, so when I had the capital outlay in, it looked even worse, because
Worse.
we have two departments that are
I
requesting
know.
it, so yeah, that's why I was like, doesn't look good.
And so then, on the next page after that, the grant, the Stone Garden grant, right? It's-
Yeah, so the grant is separated out.
Okay, but is there an expense that goes along with this that is included in the budget, or is that expense not included in the budget?
So he will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe any expense I believe in the grant, there is a built-in for expenses to manage the grant, right? So if we have, there's $3,000 built in, $2,000 built in the grant to administer
And
the.
that's not what I'm asking.
Okay,
What I'm asking is, this is to pay for overtime.
Yes.
right.
Okay, so is that overtime included in the police budget right now?
No,
It is not.
correct.
Okay, that was my
The
question.
only overtime, that you'll see a line item for overtime, for the police, but that's just what we.
And that's out of
the city
general
will-
fund?
Yeah, that's general fund, what we will pay.
Perfect, okay. Awesome.
Thank you. Let's go to page 5. Are you finished with those questions on those, Mike?
Yeah, those are important
Yes.
things to know.
And Chief, the anticipated overtime includes overtime on that particular task.
On that particular what?
On that particular task, on the Stone Garden?
Stone Garden Water Star is, no, overtime is not included.
No, but where you do have the overtime listed, that includes overtime that's gonna be worked on Stone Garden, right?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
No, not in the
No.
police budget, no.
no,
No, this budget right here should say $98,000 revenue and then $98,000 overtime,
Oh,
Right.
okay?
So-
To come to zero.
so we don't want that in,
We don't want that in the police budget, which is, they're saying it's not.
Correct, when we get there, you'll see, the only overtime is what we
Right.
would pay.
and that's what I wasn't clear on.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we need to be very clear on that one.
Okay, start with, city administration. Ed, do you have anything to say?
Oh, right here, it's just want to let you know that, last year was budgeted, of course, 81,113, and it's kind of confusing, but, we're gonna propose it for 80,000, because that's what I'm getting. Former city secretary was 59,753, budgeted last, 2019-20, and now we have proposed for 43,000. And then the bookkeeper secretary, we had a assistant to CM 50,000, it's 37,440 proposed. That's pretty good.
I don't see Norma's
So
position.
she will come out of the court
Of
budget,
course, we should.
Okay.
She's a court clerk, right?
Yes.
That's what I figured.
so that's where Anna was, salary was originally budgeted out of, was the court.
Yes.
Good idea.
So
Good suggestion.
the salaries is, excuse me, was 230,919 last year, and 224,40, 266 this year.
No, so you have, look, is that the one you printed? Mr.
Yes.
Carter? Okay, look at the one that I handed in the packet. I'm
It's a
sorry.
ton of work too.
I know.
I did every salary.
Well, because every salary is wrong. Well, not, so the numbers, I used the spreadsheet that I pulled up in Alma's file, and I just trusted that that was it. Well, what was pointed out today is that all of those numbers were actually the 2018, 2019 salaries, not the 2000, because nobody got pay raises right now. So what everybody was making in the 2020, 2021 column is what everyone made last year. No, there was,
So,
there's 3 raises in the police budget. No, I don't know if you say they're not really raises in the administration budget because the three new positions actually went down versus what they were paid last year. So there was no raises across for anybody. But because I had entered the 2018, 2019 numbers, that first draft that I sent out was incorrect. So the packet that I handed out today, what I did was I put the correct budget, so everyone's salary from this year is the same as last year. And then, truth be told, I don't know how she figured her fringe benefits and all that, because every way I figured them was different than, so I just put what the budget said for fringe benefits last year or totals for everything.
Your FICA is right.
My FICA is right,
Yeah, your
right? Her
FICA is right.
FICA. And I could not get her numbers to line up and I finally gave up, so.
And retirement's always roll the dice, you don't really
Right.
know how that's gonna land, so.
And then you'll see on every one of them, the group insurance, it looks like it went up quite a bit, but it's because it did, the max that it can go up, they vote on a range, their committee votes on a range that it can go up, and the range for TML this year can go up anywhere from, I think she said 4.5% up to 9%. So I calculated on 9% because it's my understanding we were even in the negative going into this year because we undershot last year. So I figured it on the higher rate, just to be safe.
And we've been with TML since 2002. And I think the reason why our population, our staff is only, 18? And in order to be in a group, the insurance with like Aflac and all that, it has to be larger number than just 18. That's why TML comes in and helps small communities with the insurance.
Okay, so that's what I called you about today, right?
Yes,
So,
yes, that's what.
but then, that includes you guys and the officers, right?
Right.
Because in the one you have, the first thing this morning, there was like a $10,000 increase, right?
Yes.
Well, it's partly because it was the old salary, so it looked like it was a bigger increase than it was. So now the police is only at, the group insurance is 40, what did I have for the number? Right now, the proposed is 49,000. The police budget actually goes down for salaries and benefits, but the group insurance rate would go up just because.
It's 49,
Mhm.
there it's 49, and the one that I got this morning, I think that was last year's. It was 38,500, so that was 18 and not 19?
That was 2018, 2019 numbers. So, and then you can see from 19 to 20 it went up 9%. So, it was quite a significant increase from 18 to 19, and then again, 19 to 20 was 9.
This is for TML, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no way we can apply somewhere else and get a cheaper rate or?
That I don't know. I mean, we would just have to
I mean,
do.
I could check again.
I wouldn't think so, 'cause that's what TML's there is.
Yeah.
TML's
That's
there
what
for
they
the
do.
large cities, but it's really mostly small cities. I don't know where to
What are you muted?
Yes, I was muted. Sorry about that. Okay, so y'all okay with the fringe benefits? We'll go down to office expenses and city administration.
Yes, we're gonna,
You don't have to repeat them. You don't have to read everything.
okay, if there's a big
If
difference.
if anybody has a question.
Okay, sure.
Otherwise, we'll be here till
Election, $12,000?
So this is kind of up in the air, but last year, or when we signed up for elections, Alma didn't send Anna and I to class to know how to run the election. So the number we got from Remy to run the election in May was around $12,000 for the election, which we were gonna have to do because we were right on the tails of Alma being gone. And so that's all been put on hold, but we still haven't been able to go to class. We still don't know how to run an election. So that number does have an opportunity to go down. We have reached out to Remy to get the final numbers. So because it's gonna be forced to go in with the general election, the more people that are gonna be on our ballot and use our facilities to have people come vote for their stuff, they share in the costs. So for the election prior, we only had the water board on the ballot, and so they were gonna share in the costs, and there was one other item. So it was gonna be around $12,000. The price, in theory, should go down because it's a general election, and there will be more, entities, maybe is the right word, included. So, and there haven't been classes available for Anna and I to go to, but we still, I don't know why it wasn't budgeted in here originally, because you still have to rent the equipment, you still have to buy the ballots, and when we added it up, it wasn't that much difference that what it saved by Alma running the election versus,
Well, we didn't have an election last year.
right, but they, when we checked back to the numbers that we had the last election, and, it was very,
What's it?
comparable, and then since we don't know what we're doing,
Well, I would recommend you guys don't run it.
I would recommend that too. Hey, we don't, I'll be honest. I am, no shame in my name.
You don't need that,
No
you
idea.
don't need that liability on you right now.
Now, there is the class that we can go, so in next year, they do have the seminar where we can go, we can get our, educated on it and then potentially be able to do it, going forward. But this one here coming up in November, I would feel like I'd be doing a disservice to say that I could run that.
Special events, was that the fireworks? What was that?
Yes, that was the fireworks, right?
So that kind of encumbers any of the fireworks, the Christmas, the Easter, anything that we do.
Use it by the Bay, 4th of July.
Yeah, just a lot of miscellaneous.
And we've used it before, and up until this year. Had a couple
Yeah,
of
because
Use It by the
we
Bays.
rent from like the Harlem Rentals is what's in there.
Some rental,
And that's
the-
like 1,500 every
Things for the
time.
kids, and then the
The
booths,
carnival
Yeah.
rides and stuff.
the band, or
Yeah.
DJ, whatever the case may be.
And that right, Paul is wrong.
This one?
Yeah,
Why is it wrong?
math is
What do you, which one? Mr.
wrong.
Carter?
On the far right,
The difference?
column is wrong.
Okay.
It's all right. I understand you were banging it out this morning.
It's a working document.
Yes.
Word it.
Okay.
Okay.
That's our
um,
story.
I'm
It's
not gonna,
working.
I'm not
So
gonna.
special events, keep it at 7,000, even though we're not gonna, we're hoping
We
to
might
have
be,
them.
be able to have
Many things.
Halloween, Thanksgiving,
Christmas.
maybe, is it by the band, I remember.
Hopefully we
So,
can continue
could do
this
something
long.
for Christmas, yeah. So let's keep it.
Let's not forget that we gotta cut $100,000.
Yeah. We can do that.
So, think about that.
I am
Well, we need to do things for the community. Oh, I keep forgetting.
emotional.
Yes, we need to keep doing things for the community.
Contract services, I was just curious, why is that,
So I can't
that
account
drop
for,
like that?
well, I can't account for 20,000, it's just sort of this blanket, she would have, just what's there. Again, I can have more information by next week, so I can just actually go look up and see what we paid out of there. But it does come out of, obviously the copier, things like that I have listed.
Yeah, but if you look at your expense versus what was budgeted, you have a mystery $20,000 sitting there.
Agreed, yeah, and that's the one I don't know. I can account for the ones that I put on there. I don't
Because-
know why but it doesn't look like we've spent that
That's what I'm saying,
20,000.
you only got, 2 months left of expense, right? You've spent 17,
Correct.
so
I
what is
agree
this another,
wholeheartedly. I don't foresee, I've looked at the POs, I don't see anything scheduled for
Well, let's look at
20,000
that
at the
and
end.
see.
you're only gonna charge another $44,000. Take the 20,000 out, let's lower it by 20,
Yeah.
Okay,
Like it's raining?
minus 20, so 23.
The proposed.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm looking at the different, sorry.
yeah, that's what you're wrong.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, maybe you can find some cushion there.
Okay, so if we finish with that, we'll go to
Page 7.
So we say it's one.
Please keep it. Why was communication so high and we're like, we only keeping it at 6?
Because it was the one-time purchase to get our website built, so it was so that should,
Okay.
Makes sense.
Travel? Oh, well, yeah, I don't mind.
Sorry.
But let's cut it.
That is funny.
I would cut it too, let's cut it.
But it was.
but it's also travel for the town council to go to things. It's travel, well, y'all's travel is in your own budget, right? Yeah, this is,
well, no, this is where our travel would come from.
okay.
So any
To
training.
go for any kind of
Oh, for
training.
that too.
Yeah, it would come out of the city.
Go with the
I mean, I
team.
guess unless we went to a court when we could take it out of, I don't know what we have budgeted in court, but.
Mhm.
Well, was this also impacted by COVID? It was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so that takes that.
But the other thing is they are offering a lot of the seminars online, so there might not be as much travel needed because we can take a lot of the things online. So if,
I propose to put that at 5,000.
Yeah.
Especially with the online option.
How much?
5.
5,000.
Yeah.
Save 2,000. Legal services.
there you go.
Alan.
I need to raise my rate?
Yeah.
Not an option.
Well, here's my question to you then would be, because I'm sure we're that high because Royston and Razor. Where do we foresee that going in the next year?
Well, I know that we had a status report delivered to us in executive session, and I think I can talk about certainly what's going to happen that isn't attorney-client privilege there, and that is the attending mediation.
What I'm asking for is, what do you think the bill's gonna be in the next year with them? Do you think we're gonna have a lot of hours with them, or not too
You're
many?
supposed to go to mediation.
I mean, they're, in the next year, will probably be higher than this year.
In this year?
Than this year, what that firm has spent on that case.
So leave it at 40. Because it was 22 this year. So leave it at 40.
Jimmy cheap. Jimmy cheap.
Yes, I think we should, just in case, and then we can always change it.
What do you think, Mike? Make it higher than 40?
No, because we only spent 22 last year so far, and well, that's 10 months, so we're gonna spend another 5,000, 4,000 or 5,000 in the next 2 months.
Well, who knows how
So
long that mediation is
that's
going to
28,
last.
so that's another 12,000 for them, and I'd be there.
That last mediation was about 8 years ago.
And this encompasses all the town's legal services,
Yes.
not mine included. Oh,
Yeah, it's yours and.
Right, okay.
Yeah, did I miss something on the hydrant maintenance? This is not reported in the upgrading.
That is what we voted on, because we needed to have those fixes.
So that came out of a separate, that's why there's zeros there now?
Yeah, but we got that out of the, remember when we voted to fix the hydrants?
Yeah, we got out of fund balance.
Yes.
So, okay, so that's what, thank you.
Anything else on that page?
Yes, advertisements.
Is that for city advertisements that we're gonna go for whatever?
RFQs,
Yeah, RFQs, things like that.
anything, Music by the Bay or any of those things, we put something on the paper. And we also advertised on TML for city manager, finance
Yes, that's
person.
right.
So that's not something we can cut, even though we only spent 1,800.
They have mandatory things.
We have to And they have to be posted so many times.
So we got 5?
Mayor Rich, you unmute. Did you unmute to say all that? I should just sit over there and unmute for you when you start talking.
Yes, advertisements are things that we are required to advertise, request for proposals, request for qualifications. We advertise in TML for city manager and for financial director. So those things have to be done. I don't know that we need to keep it at 5,000.
Because we did all those things this year, we're only at 1,800, right? It's not like we used anything less because of COVID. No?
Could have, I don't know.
We used to-
I think you keep it there just because of just the legal
Okay.
side of things, you just have mandatory have to post things.
It's expensive too.
So when we used to pay the island for that one page, is this a part of
That
that?
came out,
Is it, that comes out of another, when we used to pay the island?
when we would take out the advertisement in the South Padre Island Guide, that came out of CDC
Yeah, that
funds.
was- This is more like those page, like those, as you see in the paper where,
For all the RFQs we were talking about?
yeah, all that good stuff.
Okay.
Okay, we finished with that page? Tax collections of the
Tax
same.
collections.
You can't,
They can't do.
you can't tell them you're not gonna pay them.
Police department. Police department.
Okay, so does this include pay raises or it doesn't include pay raises? I'm
So look at
I'm
your,
really confused.
no, look at your new, look here, look at your new sheet. Look at the new packet.
I am.
Okay, so there should only be 3 raises. You have chief who kept his salary so it was increased by $5,693. Commander got a $3,323,000 raise, and we got a sergeant who got a $2,000 raise. Everyone else stays the same.
What I was confused at when I came to Mesa today was the misrepresentation of the 1920 budget. Was that, how did that go wrong? Do you guys have any idea? I know it's not Joel's fault, I'm just
Yeah.
asking, is there
She
any?
explained, okay. Remember, it was 2018, right?
Right, so that's the same thing. It was just the numbers. So the numbers that were actually filed with our budget are in, was the 381,811. So my numbers that I sent out on the original budget were from 2018, 2019. So it was only misrepresented to you guys by my clerical error. What we actually filed, was the 381, which is the same, short of the 3 that I mentioned. Everyone's getting paid the same. We did hire 2 new officers that got hired as at 32, and will get bumped up to 35 after their probation period.
So we don't even look at the 1920 budget because that was.
On your, if you're looking at the one that I just printed and handed you,
That's what I got.
what do you have for 1924 badge number 900?
63,307.
Okay, right. So that was
Actually,
where.
69.
And now he's at 69, so that was, so he got that, so his difference is 5,693.
Yes.
So the first 3 should have it, these are corrected, the ones that I just handed you are corrected, the one, if you're looking at the ones from the email, those are wrong.
I'm just still trying to get at where was,
In Alma's, when I clicked on the budget from last year to use her spreadsheet, she had these numbers in her column for 2019, 2020. So I assumed that they were the right numbers, and I just kept them in that column and added everybody's new stuff.
so they were misrepresented to us in the last, or
I don't,
possibly.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't go back and look at what was actually shown to you guys.
I'm not blaming you guys. I'm
No,
just
yeah,
trying to figure out.
I can look at the documents or the packets that was given to you guys to see what, but the number, this 381, 811, 67 is what was approved and submitted, in our budget. So I don't know that she misrepresented, maybe rather than didn't do a save as, or,
There was some-
something like that. But I say that because I don't know.
My only concern is that the proposed budget is $11,000 less than the 1920 budget, but everyone's wages are higher.
exactly, yeah, this
Do
is.
you wanna answer to that? It's the Lerma and Christine.
Yes, because to the longest tenured officer here had left, and his salary was at $48,000, and then the other officer left, and her salary was higher than that most.
No, the math is just wrong.
No, the math is wrong.
must be.
The math is wrong.
Oh, I see.
Wait, I think
Like column one is the 381, column two is 289, but the numbers are higher in column two, so it's just the math must be
It's the
wrong.
same, it's the same FTEs, you got 9 guys.
You see?
wait, which one, I don't know if it was wrong.
These numbers are lower than these numbers, but this is higher.
Okay, so this is what was actually put on the budget, I'm sorry, this
See,
number
but
was,
what do these add up? What do these add up to?
well, they're gonna be,
Let me add them up.
You see what I'm saying?
I do,
We're off somewhere,
Yes.
and that's a lot of money. We gotta,
You're gonna do it on your.
you do the left, I'll do the right. You do 19, 20, I'll do 20, 20.
but it's fine, so what, but they're gonna need an alternate and then the salary to do this right, because that, they're not, that there's the differences in those two salaries.
Let me see if I have another one on my list.
Here, I brought
Bring it
the.
on.
You got it?
I don't wanna do it.
It's the same as the reading of the same.
I just did.
Your 2021 address.
Okay, so the. So Lerma was making, or the 2018-2019 budget, one of the officers that left was making $45,700. We hired a new officer at 32. The other officer that left was making 38,900, and we hired another officer at 32.
Okay.
Yeah, column
This
one
number
should
is
be-
way overstated.
Yeah, the column one should be 353.
That's fantastic though.
That's a good mistake.
Yeah, column one should be 353,
Yeah, one on, one and
111.
Yeah, that number is what was on the budget, but then we got rid of those two officers
So what
and
was it,
then.
353, 111?
So column one is, the math was wrong, it's 353, 111, and then column two, what did you get?
378. It's right. The math is right on there.
Oh, this column, it should be.
Oh, the 37189 should be over.
Good. That's
Yeah,
the correct
that's
number.
So 370s.
That's correct.
So at the end of the day, we don't save any money on our current budget, so.
But we just got excited and
Oh,
hopefully
yeah.
we
I'm
got.
sorry. Sorry to disappoint you.
But you all are worth it.
Yes, totally.
So we didn't hire any more people, we didn't lose anybody, we're still at 9 officers as we were last year, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, we lost some.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, we lost a couple and some viewers came.
Yeah, but FTE wise, we didn't.
we didn't
Like-
add any extra, we're at the
Yeah,
same, 9
names
officers
may-
last year,
the
9
names
officers
may have
this year.
changed, but the officers are still
It
there.
all balanced out.
Okay, page 9, here's your overtime, anybody has a question?
So see, look, this is district overtime, so this is what the city taxes us.
Any questions on that?
That worked out good.
All right, let's move right on to
Page 10, right?
expenses, benefits.
Chief, why is the motor fuel, it's just because it's, never mind, it's so cheap right now.
What?
No, I was just wondering why the gas is so low right now, but it's because it's so cheap right now. It's not like we're driving this, it's just.
So the jail, it went up 10,000?
Yes, sir. And this much.
Yeah.
It was 20,000.
Little up, yeah.
I would love to save a little bit here and there, and up the ammunition to 3,000. I know, it's getting more expensive, I was talking to the chief about it. They have more rounds to practice with, and, they have very little on backup reserve. So, in light of the current situation, I would love to see having a little bit more ammunition and backup.
I agree with you.
Took 1,000 from fuel, we were with ammunition.
There we go. Because I don't think the fuel price is gonna go up
No,
anytime
I
soon.
don't think so either.
So fuel's 18,000 now.
Yes.
And ammunition
Previous
is,
budget, we had left over to, from
I put
previous
ammunition at
budget.
3,000.
Yeah, so give another 1,000. Did you get that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You foresee your vehicle maintenance to be 10,000 this year?
Yes, sir.
I thought so.
Again, I'm confused with the contract services. So budget was 39, was the same, I'm rounding, was 40, current is 26, and then we want to propose 47? On the
Dispatch.
general, sorry,
dispatch double.
we just talked about that, sorry. But still, it should put us at, even with the, if we're at the current of 26, and we add the 10 for the jail, why is it at 47? We can maybe do that
It's
at,
actually a $20,000 increase with the jail and dispatch services.
Yes.
So there is at the bottom, and this is again, we're not exactly, there's $5,000, if you see at the bottom, contract services in place. There's another, previously line item budget that we're not sure what it's there for.
What is that?
The last item under the,
the contract services in place?
Yes.
You
it
don't know
says
what that is?
5,000.
I don't know what it is.
It's
I
just,
know what everything else is, but it's $5,000, I don't know what
Okay, got it.
it is.
You're gonna save 5,000.
so that'll make it'll go from 47 to 42.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll bring us closer to,
We're at 27 now.
Out of 100?
Yep. That's the point.
I wasn't listening, sorry, you already asked about vehicle maintenance?
Yeah, what about communications chief? It was 89 this year, and it's 75 to 75 going to be enough.
All the communications I know this year.
So that has
Yeah.
to do with the equipment that we bought for the phone system. I split the phone system across all the departments, so.
So that's okay to stay.
That's good.
It should be okay, yes.
And other equipment maintenance?
Although we need to look at first, and some of that is from the mobile phones, maybe okay to use the mobile phones. And we went to FirstNet to save money, and because during a hurricane, we weren't supposed to lose service. That is service anything, when the first thing that went was, that is service anything. So, I was like, that didn't work.
What is Leo's?
Highly disappointed in that.
What is Leo's?
Law enforcement.
Leos is money received from the state comptroller for training, for law enforcement training. And we receive it once a year. I fill out paperwork to the Attorney General's office, how many officers we have, et cetera, and how many TCORs the officers earn. And they cut us a check, usually about $1,200.
But that's a revenue, right?
Excuse me?
That's a revenue. No? This is,
I mean, this year, I don't know what they're gonna do since all the classes got shut down because of COVID, and we didn't spend
It was an in and an out.
We didn't spend our $1,200, so I don't know what they're gonna do this year, the Attorney General's office, because.
oh, so it's usually a wash?
It's a reimbursement.
Pretty much.
Okay, everything okay on the page?
12?
Fire department? Who's speaking? I'm gonna speak on fire department, chief.
Ma'am?
You're gonna speak on fire department.
Okay, the new fire chief, the new fire chief went to, his salary increased to $25,000. Okay, and what I did was I kind of did like you are doing right now with the new budget, and I made some cuts to other areas of the budget down there. Part of the reason was Neil is, he's an instructor, fire instructor, so I cut some of the training budget where they were having to travel and buy books to train in Edinburgh, because if one of our kids, let's say one of our kids in our town went to the firehouse right now and said, I want to be a fireman, he can do the training right here at our fire station. But so anyway, I cut some from the budget, cut some of the medical supplies down by 1,000 because the medical closet is full of medical supplies. So I cut there, but we have to stay under certain protocols with Dr. Deriva on keeping that stocked. Uniforms and clothing. Got some of that out of there, so they can still buy their uniforms and buy one, hopefully buy one set of bunker gear per year. So we won't get in I already told him, that's what I want to do, so we don't get it into a situation where, so you have $1,000 to buy their t-shirts, whatever, and then another $2,000 to buy a set of bunker gear every year, so we keep going on us buying a set every year, and we don't go, oh, we're out of compliance with the state. So they should be good there. I kept the vehicle maintenance high because now the Beast, the big truck, needs some work done. There's an oil leak, and we need, engine 1 and 2 need tires, so let that kind of high at $14,000.
Can I steal $1,000 from motor fuel?
Well, they could. I mean, we could cut it maybe $1,000 off there, but I would go more than motor fuel, because when you fill, it depends on what their trucks are at. If they're using the trucks a lot and they're training and doing whatever, you fill up one engine, that's $450. Diesel. Remember, they run diesel, so gas is cheaper than the diesel they used to fill up the Beast and 2 engines and all that. And it's it swallows it up.
Councilman Carter, where did you want to put the 1,000 for the motor
From the
fuel?
motor fuel,
Where did you want to put it, the 1,000?
take it out.
Just take it out.
Cut it.
Chief, on this,
Got it.
on here on Outbackers, you said you took some out of the medical supplies,
Yes, ma'am.
but it's still the same for last year and this year. It's still 8,500. Right.
I put
You wanted
I put it at 7,500.
Okay, so there's another 1,000.
Okay, so that should be 75, so that's actually another 1,000 right there.
We're 29,000. Get closer.
Is 2,000 gonna be enough? If that's where you said you were pulling people, since he can train people,
2,000
and you don't have to go to
train.
Edinburgh anymore, that's gonna
I
be
go to
enough?
Edinburgh, because I think the last one was 4,000.
Yes.
I want to do, 2,000, I figured he was going to have to buy training materials and everything to train here. But he is certified to train firemen, first aid, CPR, everything should be done here. So that's why 2,000 from there.
We'll finish with page 13, 14, 15, emergency medical services.
What was it last year, 125, it doubled? I can't remember what happened.
Chief, was the EMS 50,000 last year, what was it?
Yeah.
It was 50,000, EMS services last year, town reported was $50,000, and where we had to pay And then when they couldn't make it, we had to pay Los Fresnos EMS $200 per call.
Now we got it. I know that, what is it going to propose, 125?
Yes, that,
And Chief was working on, with Los Fresnos, and they finally got us up to 60,000, which is great.
yeah, I couldn't remember exactly. Good job, thank you, Chief.
And they will be paying, if they can't make it, instead of we paying, they'll pay Portisville, whoever, the $200.
Thank you, Chief.
Good job.
They did a great job.
Page 16, library, put up. Any questions for Buddha? You have the painting in there, Buddha. $11,000.
Yeah.
Is that the original paint?
Yes, inside and outside. And we have cracks in the wall. So, I went out for 3 bids and I only got one because of whatever's going on. And I think outside is 6,000 and inside is 5,000, so it's 11,000. But it's really, it needs it. I've been putting it on the budget for
Yes.
the last,
Yes.
and CDC would. So it's horrible inside.
I watched that. I have a question, please. This $11,000, please remind me, we voted previously on this, and didn't we take some out of the CDC? Or we added this, what did we do with this? I don't remember.
For the roof,
The roof.
Was it the roof?
Yeah.
I'm remembering something, but I don't.
the roof and the
So the
corral.
CD paid for the roof and we paid for the painting?
No
Is that what
painting,
happened?
no, the painting got set back.
Why to fix the roof, because the roof is really bad.
Yes, we went with the roof
They
better
had
than
to,
the painting.
they had to replace a bunch of sheeting.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I couldn't exactly remember, okay.
Yes.
So the painting never happened.
On the contracted services,
Yeah.
we're at 13,000, but we've only spent 7,000. Are we gonna get a big bill in the next 2 months, or?
We're waiting for the IT guy. Mhm, that's what come out.
Oh, that's why.
Mhm, the 5.
All right.
Makes sense.
He always waits till the last August. But,
What about electric services?
what's that?
Electric services?
That's our electricity?
Yes.
It's,
but
it looks like it went down this year.
Yeah, so that
Is that because we fixed the roof and it's not leaking, or?
No, electricity? No,
I mean, it's not
uh,
leaking AC out and we have to spend more, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah.
Why is
it
it
just
so?
went down. I mean, the years before, like summers, it was sky high.
No one's there.
Or is it because of, I was gonna say,
Yes.
it's COVID,
So it's only us two, we don't take that much.
COVID related.
And then maybe the roof too, because the roof isn't
No,
bad.
that's fine.
Can we take 1,000?
Electric services.
Well, we can, but if I needed it before they shut it down.
Yes, we'll give it back, but we're, nothing is happening, it's still in lockdown for a while, right?
Right.
We're trying to get 1,000.
We can cut,
I think we can even cut 2 maybe.
well,
Is- No, we'll give it back, gosh, we're gonna pay our bills, I'm just saying, you know,
600.
the library will probably
600
be
times
closed.
12 is 72, take 1,500.
And then can we, and some from communications maybe?
That's all.
communication should be going down because we got the new, communication should be going down,
So
so
we
we
can
got a
take
new.
some from electric services and some from communications?
Another 1,000 for
Yes.
communications, or?
So how much was electric services going to be?
72.
1,500.
So take 1,500.
Yeah.
And then community, 1,500 from there too?
Either of them.
We need to make it easy,
Make it 3,000.
yeah.
Right there, right there.
And then the travel is in the skies, because we don't know next, what's gonna happen, so.
You're so gracious.
Where do we do the travel?
She usually goes to the TLRA in the spring.
I mean, TLA,
Yeah, that's
the
what
Texas, Texas.
The library.
Just keep it for now.
If we don't use it, we can.
I think it's important.
We can always
We need to
move
go
it.
do that.
Yes, okay. Keep it. And then books and subscriptions is 5,008.
I think we can maybe, as much as I love books, but we're closed for the next 3 months at least, I'm sure. I don't see a reason why we can maybe, just for this year, steal some money there. We'll give it back to you next year.
Okay. How much are you gonna steal? I'm just joking.
Well, since we're closed and not
Joe,
functioning,
yeah, because we don't know how many we're gonna
I think at least 1,500 maybe.
Okay.
And what?
Books and subscriptions, or even 2,000.
Oh, yeah.
2,000.
3,800, that's how much is it?
Yeah.
So maybe 38.
Put it on page 17. Go to page 18.
What about next year?
Okay.
18 and 19.
We don't know, because maybe it's gonna be again the
18 and 19
same
are
way.
together.
Well, I'm just
better.
Go for it. So we might
18 and 19,
Rest
they're side by side, okay. 18 and 19.
Yeah, I don't know why that came from here.
Good.
18 and 19 are together, side by side, pretend. And you can do this one for Parks and
Yes.
Rec.
What are other supplies?
That's, did we ever look into that?
Yeah, that's one of the ones we looked at. So other supplies, basically it's anytime they go to Sutherland, White Lumber, anything like that that they use for
Like the grass,
maintaining the parks, if there's a sprinkler that needs to be fixed or.
fertilizer, right? Grass and-
Well, fertilizer's up in the air because we have that I don't know
Botanicals,
if
oh,
that
that's
comes out
right.
of botanical, but, so that's where that's budgeted, that's what comes out of the Sutherlands, things like that.
In promotional, it was just for, again, for the events that we had on the parks.
Yeah, it was another one where we had just
There's a lot, we
different,
have a 10, we have 7, and now this.
Yeah.
I mean, it was budgeted
Or,
9,000.
I think you can take 4,000 from that.
Other
Other
supply,
supplies.
other
Yeah.
supply, yes.
And I would personally like that to be a little bit better described, you know. I don't know, I just feel like,
It's like miscellaneous.
yeah, it's like
What is
this,
it?
exactly,
Yeah.
what is,
Other supplies, I mean, yeah, we
you know,
should,
I'm
You want
a
me to do a
gardener,
breakdown?
so, yeah, I would
like
like
maintenance or.
to see that a little bit
Yes.
better. So essentially, your garden tools stay the same.
Groundskeeping.
Your mowers stay the same, so you have to fix those when they break, the mowers and the blowers and the edgers.
Mechanical and groundskeeping.
But your actual equipment, I mean, those last for a long time.
Looking at
A lot of
that.
that's botanical.
So they essentially have to buy
Botanical,
Botanical.
weeding stuff,
that's on the next page.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
that's. It was
Yeah.
separate.
weed and feed stuff,
So looking at the receipts and kind of coming up with a category.
But isn't like parks can be with public works, like the department of that, or you just like separate, we have other supplies, which could have been, like you're saying.
I'm confusing that already, so
Yeah,
I'm
because
going to.
on the next one, we have
Sorry.
botanicals, which can go for the fertilizer and,
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking, public
That's a
works.
building.
So you think you're just buying it whenever there's budget, you're just.
so that's what the company is, they would give us the
It
report.
provides-
Nor
have
is
to
public,
overcome,
keep that for the parks,
you
for
know,
the public services. I was
there's
thinking
a
public
policy
services, but this is
here.
park and recreation.
You know, go by
Still
fault,
other
then back to
supplies.
radio, so forth and
Yeah.
stuff like
We should
that.
probably put this together with public services, no?
Not necessarily, it's public services works, does buildings also. Parks and Rec needs to be by itself, but anything botanical needs to be with Parks and Rec.
So then other supplies.
That's also a question, Mayor, is the building department building like our buildings? Because
Yeah.
I thought it was our building, like our building permits,
Yeah,
our,
building.
anything to do with our, you know,
because
that.
these have awesome office supplies,
Mhm.
botanical supplies,
Yeah.
contract services, dues and membership, books and
Other
subscriptions.
supplies is
I mean, couldn't you look at your receipts as you're going through them and
Well,
try to come up with a better?
they are a
Okay,
little,
so we
so
added
because you have office supplies, which can be, used for anything, and you have the, other supplies, so what would happen is they would give a receipt from, say, Southern. It wasn't justified necessarily like, okay, I bought a rake and it was used for this. It's just, okay, there was money in this line item, so that's where it was taken out of. So we don't, and it can change,
Yes.
but we don't break down what the Sutherland's receipt is for, or like, you know, now, the Public Works Department, they only code for, the Public Works. So what would happen is if they didn't have the money, they would give it to the prior person and she would code it to wherever there was money. So we can break it down to what it was as best I can, but going forward, it certainly needs to be more specific.
But I apologize, I started that conversation, but
Yeah.
let's keep that, let's continue that when we get to public works.
Well, but that was just tying in with the other supplies, because they were asking on
Yes.
the parks, there was the 9,000 of other supplies, and we're wanting to know what that is, and
I mean, I would imagine it should be based on location. If you're gonna buy stuff and it's being used in the park, okay, this park, walking park, sports park, then it should be put here,
Yeah,
you know? And if it's for public works, used on other, you know, areas of the town, it should go there.
The problem is it's the same, they're gonna use the same stuff.
Well,
Same
the
way.
equipment though, it's not,
Yeah.
it's equipment, but it's, I think for the most part, they're probably like buying, if you're gonna buy irrigation supplies to fix irrigation, that's gonna be for the parks. Right? If they're buying
But shouldn't, like botanical supplies, I always see that.
in Parks and Rec, I
Yeah,
think that should be
not
Parks and Rec.
public
works.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Right,
I agree.
so,
Just move that line item like this, that will just make more sense.
so just change the town board on Parks and Rec.
I think you should just have another line item that says,
Botanical.
like,
Botanical services in, under parks and recreation.
You know.
or-
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Just take that one out, that's all, that will just.
Okay, so,
And
so
other
we keep
supplies, I
all
mean-
the same, or did you want the 5,000 out of the 9,000?
5,000 out of the other supplies.
On electrical services, 5,000 was budgeted, we used 6,000. That's odd because we had the solar light, maybe that was repairing the solar lights, does anybody know? I know the solar lights were redone this year.
Of all the light posts, or just the top? We have lights and all, I mean, this part and that, and the better part.
Just this one, the solar lights here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
so we took 4,000 out of that one?
Out of
Other-
other supplies.
other?
Mhm.
Or the,
And we're gonna put botanicals in Parks and Recreation, Parks and Rec. And okay, we're gonna take 4,000 out of other supplies, put botanicals in Parks and Recreation, and then you're going to break down other,
I'll try to give you guys the
As much
outboard
as you
of
can.
what is.
You're doing great, Nathan. You're doing very good.
you are.
so really under Parks and Recreation, there is only botanical, never baseball related, any other type of equipment, it's gonna be strictly botanical for parks.
Anything that's purchased to be used at the parks should be put in this budget.
So it's botanical. We're just calling it.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is, okay.
Irrigation supplies,
Maintenance of the exercise equipment and.
yeah, all that stuff should go here.
That should go to Parks and Rec.
Parks, groundskeeping.
And that could be other supplies.
Parks, groundskeeping.
That's true, that could be other supplies. But we should make it just maybe like equipment or something.
Yes.
Exercise,
Make it more-
leisure equipment.
Make it a little bit more reader friendly.
Yes, so it can be understood.
Okay, are we ready for page 20?
Ready?
20, the community
Other services. Well,
building.
Is
So
this
it's gonna
also
be
on two
20
pages?
and 21.
Two pages, 20 and 21.
All right, all right.
See, they have botanical supplies here.
Yeah. See,
I'm
that's-
thinking maybe it's
move
for the
that
outside of,
You should move that one over to Parks and Rec.
All
Yes.
botanical and.
Yes.
That's kind of like
This is like very.
so the contract services is for Jay, right? Is that,
So in the building, that's where it was getting kind of confusing on was this building for like our buildings, or is it building as in our permits, our inspections? Because, I believe, I believe that's one where we said that the Mitchum and our inspectors get paid out of building.
Yeah, building, that's building department.
So that's kind of misleading.
Well, how about you come up with a system that works for you, that you feel will make more logical sense
See,
to
that's,
us?
that's what we're talking about,
Yeah,
right? We're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that,
I
we're
mean,
saying.
Because you're gonna
Make
be
it-
working with us.
And then make it user-friendly for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yes.
exactly. More
You take
specific.
ownership.
Kinda,
Yes.
cause like botanical supplies under building,
You're doing great, Danny. This is your first time doing great.
the botanical supplies under this one has to do with the beautification around the building, right? The little, okay.
That's my understanding, yeah, so it doesn't make.
If you figure a way out and then at the next.
Okay,
meeting,
I'll present it.
This is not to do with fixing our buildings, this has nothing to do with that.
Right, it's not.
grounds
There's
sweeping.
no money in there for that.
The groundskeeping needs to stay in Parks and Rec, because
Yes.
this is still part of the park.
But you're keeping the flower beds out in front of the building and stuff, so that, you need a.
But it doesn't go into this one building.
Yeah,
But that's,
botanical
I guess
just,
with buildings under community services, I guess that's
We
where,
could
you know,
change that.
building needs to
Yeah.
get pulled out and be,
Somewhere else.
like, it's, like, you
Well,
know,
that's what I'm
courts its
telling
own
you, you figure
thing.
it out what works for you.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll work on
And
it.
check with other towns and
Yeah.
see how they have, the other small towns,
Okay.
because how they have their building permit department.
Okay.
What it is under. Everything there looks about the, okay,
See nothing there.
nada,
Where were you, ma'am?
22 and 20,
Four, right? 20,
no, 22 and 24 good.
yeah, 22. This was the one municipal courts. That's it.
The OT for the office clerk, will this go to the court clerk or to the assistant secretary?
Is that actually goes to, it will go to our office clerk, court clerk person. So we figured, there's at least, 2 hours, every court session, and we have 2 a month, so 4 hours a month, basically, that is mandatory overtime that they stay, in theory. Okay, now, granted, Anna and I, both stay, so, I mean, it's always in the past been done by just the 2 people, so it can continue to be done, especially since, in my humble opinion, especially when we don't have anybody coming in the door, it's all by phone, so it's really controlled. I'm gonna try to get our EasyNet payment where they pay online, to be able to do it by phone. So if you wanna call in and pay by phone, you press 2, and you can actually make your payment on by phone, because that's a lot of what takes up the time during the court, is trying to accept the payments. Before, it was accepting payments in person, but obviously we're not doing that at all right now. And then, so now they either pay on the internet, or they call in and we take their payment over the phone. So, theoretically, you know, you already pay Anna and I to be here, we wouldn't necessarily, it would be money that I would say you could cut, because you wouldn't have to keep her here for the overtime, because it's always been done by 2 people in the past, and we've cut down having to do the in-person.
Okay, wait, so you're saying we can cut that completely?
I'm saying my personal opinion, like, I'm just saying, in the past, we've only had 2 people do it, so like, right now, this
I
setup.
think we should keep it just in case, like.
But that's what it's built in for, is for the court,
For the courts,
the
yeah.
court sessions.
There might be some
Keep it
time.
or not?
the overtime.
Keep overtime. Contracted services. $40,000, we spent 20.
Where's this at?
Page 23.
So the contract services comes in, so, we pay, that's where we pay Judge Hunter out of, we pay Judge Ochoa out of when he does our, you know, arraignments and things like that, so that's where that comes out of. So that's actual low, because we haven't had as many arraignments, you know, so Judge Ochoa hasn't had, you know, so it's low because of COVID and arrests and all of that stuff, so,
What was the 18-19 budget for that? I don't see it on, sorry.
The 1920 budget was 40,000.
Yeah, but the 18,
1819? Sorry.
The actual,
I'm just trying to figure out if we can maybe lower the,
So in her, it was 38,000 for 1819, but we do keep in mind that is also, we split up our fees between the courts, so like all of our phone bill, we split that between the court, the police, and city hall. So if we minimize it there, we have to increase it on, between city hall and police department. So we have, like our IT services is $3,000 per department, so we can cut that some, to some extent, but that will all have to be.
What was our actual expenses in 1819?
I don't have actuals, but I can pull it for you for the next meeting, but it's gonna be pretty close because it's the IT services at 3,000, the copier lease is 4,000, GoDaddy is 800, the judge's salary or payments is about 14,000. The collection agency, so we have that Linebarger collection agency that works to collect on our citations. We pay them about 15,000, which will be less this year just because there's not as many to turn over. We'll turn over a lot more because nobody's paying, but they're not gonna be able to collect. Same reason we aren't collecting. And then our omni-base fee for the warrants. So.
well, but still, each line item, those other line items are spread in those departments, but in this, for this specific one, since, court is not gonna continue normal for the next 3 months at least. So maybe we can lower the steals on this, what do you guys think?
yeah, can we steal from these? I was just wondering that.
It's just the word I'm using. So
Yeah, I know, no, I
right.
agree, I mean, I understand the word, it's just, but because of the fact of the nature of these, I know we're probably, you're right, we're gonna have less.
Well, we're not gonna pay Mr. Judge Ochoa or Judge Hunter
Yeah.
as we usually do for the, I would foresee the next.
Judge Hunter's is actually gonna go up to normal because he's working 3 hours to do it on the court, so normally he does court from 4 to 6, and now we're doing court from 3 to 6. So his, because we can, because there's only so many you can get through on the phone, he can work through them much faster in person, so he can see them, and then they go out to the window, and it's a much, we're getting faster, and now that we have the new phone system, we can kind of keep people in queue, but it does take him a little longer to run through them on the phone than it does if you're there just sitting here in person. And I feel like we're getting more people that are responding, because they can call in, so there's that part too, that there is more people.
More comfortable.
Yeah,
I would pull in. Why
yeah,
I
people,
know, right, why go in
people
front
like
of
it.
it?
So his hours are going up from, the 2 hours of court session to 3, so.
Well, again, do you guys think we can lower that, or should we leave it
I don't think we can lower.
I don't think we can either.
as? Okay.
That one's serious.
Anything else on page 23? 24?
6 is also part of that last one.
Well, let's finish with court. It's 25 is the last one on court. Are we finished with court? Let's go to page 26, public works.
How much was our actual
That's the only one I didn't get finished all the way. For what?
infrastructure? Did you do the actual on group insurance?
So,
Curious.
on the group insurance?
Have that for next week.
So I have for last year, her numbers were 25,200. My numbers that I got for all 3 of them were way less, which is, well, no, not way less, but 24,778.
Do you know how much we spent with group insurance so far?
Not to date, but I can get it for you.
And 26. Twenty-seven.
where's where I have the, where it's, so there's janitorial supplies, then there's minor tools, then there's building supplies.
And mechanical supplies.
Then there's mechanical supplies, and then there's other supplies,
Well,
and again, I'm,
Other equipment maintenance.
I mean,
yes,
there-
it's just, that's, yes, what's that other equipment, like, there's vehicle maintenance, so they have their vehicles, and they have the mowers,
yeah.
I don't quite understand,
Mowers would be other equipment,
but what's vehicle maintenance, is that other?
their
They've got
trucks
2 trucks.
Yeah,
and their golf cart.
So the other equipment is for the mowers?
I would think so.
Gosh, that's a lot of money.
why don't they put more?
Because there's more than just mowers.
So then the building maintenance here, is that for the public, or is that maintenance of the bathrooms, or?
See, I think that's what it is,
This-
the bathrooms and what they're,
Whatever they have to do to
Do here.
build.
Do
This is where the physical buildings come into.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's
So
confusing.
that- so this is the mechanical in front of our
so that
office
should be
here.
here. See, 3,000, that's more for the parks, we don't have 3,000.
Okay, I got you.
Guys for the,
Oh, yeah. I'm confused,
so I
sorry.
could, we're gonna
Yeah,
change that
yeah,
to the parks.
yeah.
But I think since this is in Roloff Park, the buildings are in Roloff Park, it needs to be in the Parks and Recreation, the botanicals. All the botanicals need to be Parks and Recreation.
That's correct, that's right, like other supplies.
That needs to be more specific.
Yes, this is, I don't know, this is just a little bit confusing.
And minor tools, are those like trowels or?
What was the
Minor
contract
tools and major
services?
tools.
Cover that?
Because I mean, you need minor, I mean, I can understand there are small tools you use in gardening and then there's these big ones,
Like
right?
change the light bulbs?
But we don't know what they
Those are
are.
big sarcastic.
I'm just confused where, so the janitorial supplies is for this building too, right? So that
And the
toilet paper. and
These
the-
bathrooms
The park.
here, the bathrooms at the sports park.
What,
The
Chris?
sports bar?
Yes, the sports park.
Which bathrooms?
Where?
They're porta potties, and they're enclosed, because when we did it, we did not want
The one over there.
the bathroom, the porta potties, yes.
I don't know, I just think this can be set out a little bit more clearly. Seems like a lot to me. I'm saying they're not doing the right thing, it's just, there's maybe this supply and that supply, and a lot of it they have already, you know,
Was
so.
it like the parks? I'm just comparing, parks has $1,000 in janitorial supplies, and then public works has 2,000, so that's, it's all, I mean,
So that's the question, does the
Should we
bathroom fall
incorporate
apart?
that too?
Does it fall under?
you know.
Well, that's where I think that's where we need to make sure that when you buy stuff, it's specifically for the location that you're supposed to use it at.
Yeah, that's why the detailed,
You know, like if you're buying stuff for this building, it should be this building. If you're buying stuff to do the parks, toilets and cleaning up, that should be for the parks. You know, and I'm sure it's not perfect, but at least you could split it up.
You can split up
You know.
and clarify what it's,
Yeah, you know.
Parks janitorial,
Yeah,
yeah,
building janitorial.
yeah,
yeah.
you know, and
because right here it has building maintenance.
the building maintenance, I would imagine, is fixing this building, the fire building, buildings, you know.
Other equipment.
And I have a question about contract services here. And
That's what
That would be like getting a backhoe from somebody to help you with.
Right, so if there's, let's say, so
Yeah,
the
have a
example I can
backhoe.
think of is, you know, we had a ballast go out, and so Willie called, one of the electric companies and to change the ballast, you know, so that's where the
We had all that
contract-
plumbing stuff that happened last year too.
Yeah, so when we have to fix,
So-
yeah, so when it's something above and
Yeah.
beyond what our
You have to
guys
get
are, then
somebody.
that's like, you know, who we call.
thank you.
Yeah, because I also know we don't have particular equipment. I mean, we don't have a backhoe, we don't have a plow.
Right, and sometimes it's easier just to get a contractor to do it than have them go get the equipment to do, you know, a certain job or whatever. At least that's what Mr. Martinez has explained to me.
Or maybe we can divide things up into buildings and grounds. You know, so instead of just this park and that, divide it up into, it's either a building or it's grounds. I don't know. Just
That's an idea.
Pest control, there was no budget on pest control. 250 was
But this,
actual.
so, that's weird, and I don't understand.
I know, I was gonna
There's,
look
so
at
if you look at animal
Yeah.
control, there's
Pest
3,500
control,
for pest
yeah. That's a
control.
lot, that's $5,000 for pest control, 5,500 for pest control. Between the two one, between this one, Public Works, and animal control.
Now, I did not get animal control, like, I don't know what we spent actual for pest control, but I know, I don't think we're at 3,500.
Yeah, you guys contract that out?
Is that,
Chief, do we do anything with that, or?
We do.
is that the
We
mosquito?
probably does a good job of animal control. We probably get, we probably rehome or return the dogs, cats, whatever, to their home by putting them on Facebook, put them in the kennel
No, but
outside.
isn't pest control like bugs?
The
Oh,
mosquito?
pest control.
Yeah.
Pest control.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
mosquitoes.
rehoming the mosquitoes, thank you.
Well, never mind. Oh, sorry. I thought you said pest.
Okay, that's for that, kind of
Animal
stuff. I'm just saying,
control.
who sprays the building?
That's right, do we have a contract?
We have-
Oh, we do, okay, we have a contract.
We have someone coming this way.
I forget what the name is,
Yeah.
but we have
And
somebody.
they
that
charge us
comes-
$3,500?
No, it's not Terminix, it's one of the other ones, yeah,
We'll see, we have it,
So, and I don't know, I haven't seen the costs, from the mosquitoes of what we've done with
Yeah,
all the
we gotta check
mosquitoes.
on that.
So I haven't seen those.
because I know it's Public Works, we have 2,000, and then animal control, 3,500. I think they put the mosquito
But the
in animal
mayor,
control because.
the mayor is
Yeah,
right,
should be.
because, the mayor is right, because at the, if you look at the public works, that's 2,000, then,
Yes,
and that's
3,500.
5,500, that's a lot of money. I think that's,
Well, with the mosquitoes, if it doesn't, like, we had a pretty dry spell before this rain came, and we hadn't really had.
and so we need to see, does that include the mosquito spraying, or?
Check on, please check on the pest control under Public Works and pest control under animal control. And frankly, I don't think it needs to be under animal control. Animal control should be about animals.
Cats,
Animals.
And
skunks.
yes, so pest control should be under Public Works. Pest/vector control, if it's for the mosquitoes. Anything else on page 27?
And may I just say, can I add that we can separate spraying for mosquitoes versus the regular maintenance?
The mosquito would be vector control.
Is this where?
Yes.
Vector
Is that right? Yeah, maybe we need a separate line item for
Yes.
So
vector.
you're gonna tell them about Mr. Travis and his mosquito spray, that's a solution spray, right?
Yeah, before we were working with, Mr. Bob Bowder,
Bowder.
we were gonna go ahead and get, David Travis, he's licensed, so he wanted to be, we have to have a person that's on payroll to have a.
That's what it is.
So he agreed that whenever he will set him up, whenever he sprays, we'll pay him $200. And he just wanted to see if whenever his license was out, that if we could pay for that. That'd be good. And I think it's good, yeah.
How
It's
much?
about 300. And I know that right now he's in quarantine. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so we're gonna have a gentleman come and do it for us, that is licensed. But then Mr. Bowder called and said, hey, I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
So
That's
he's
all.
gonna do it for free.
Thank you, South Padre Island Golf Course
Yeah,
and
that was
Mr. Bowder.
amazing.
Can we steal some money from contracted services then?
That is on animals. That's chief, what is that for the animal control?
No, on the,
Are we back in Public Works?
Public Works,
Oh,
we have a $9,000 budget and we spent $6,500 so far.
how much do we need?
Where are you?
What's 180? Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, there.
What page is it?
So
727,
actual was 60, like
How much more do we
6,500.
need?
a lot. $2,000,
What are those
Remove
numbers?
2,000.
can I take $2,000
I
from
think
that?
so.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get a better breakdown for you in this one.
So how much are we debt by that? Give me give it, yeah.
We're at 41.
Oh,
So, real animal, big animal.
Animals,
Dogs
chief.
and cats.
Is 1,500 enough? Tell us what that is.
I would say probably take 1,000, or 1,000 out of that, because we've had, 459, and $200 to the county, so that's $750. And other than that, we relocated all the dogs ourselves, so.
So keep 750 in there, keep 500 in there.
Might I add, that's not traditionally your job, so good job for that. That's really great that you guys do that.
I mean, we've got the rattlesnakes, and we do it.
Yeah, you guys are great.
So, yeah, so I
Can
would say.
relocate your rattlesnakes.
So, yeah, I mean, and the only reason we had a deal this year where we had 2 bad dogs and it cost more, but yearly, I would say $500 within that budget covers
So we can
it.
take 1,000 out of that line.
This year was just a little bit more.
Which
Where,
one?
which one is that?
Oh, no, more than that, because this says,
It's 6,700.
oh my goodness.
No, we don't,
What?
yes,
It's
it's
$6,700.
we don't need that, right?
We can
Oh,
take,
we've been overworking that. That's, I mean, I would say, yeah, 700 would cover it then.
700, so we'll take 6,000 from there.
Just go 6 more thousand.
Six.
Yeah,
Thank you,
$6,000.
Chief.
Thank you, Chief. That's the last night. Is that the last night?
28,
No,
page 28.
so I thought you asked if you could leave.
Yeah,
No, you
no.
can't leave yet.
I'm not leaving, no.
We're at 47,000, right?
Well, maybe we can find somewhere between now.
Well, I think when Randy, we move some of these things around, especially some of these things, there might be some,
Yeah.
There should be
We got
money
somewhere.
covered around, yes.
Okay, there's item B, but there's not, we're not going to do anything on item B, correct?
It doesn't look like we're gonna need to. The issue there is just the difference between a voter approval rate of 1.035 times M&O, or 1.8, like the old stamp.
How are we gonna make up $160,000?
we haven't even discussed the needs from the departments
Or pay raises?
or payroll.
Ms.
So
Howard
how-
mentioned the donation that we're supposed to do to the Laguna Madre Children's Fund. I know she didn't get to get on here, or she had to pop off, but she did ask me about some donation that,
Oh, yes, Michaela, Hancock, Marcel.
I didn't see that
It
anywhere
was supposed
in
to.
prior, so I don't know where it comes from, but she did want me to ask about that, because she didn't see it anywhere. And I-
Mrs. Hancock is one of the officers, not officers, one of
Board members?
the, no, she's not, well,
Oh, she's the director? Or
I think one of the
director,
directors
yes.
over there, and I had asked, she contacted me, because we did for a while, and we didn't for a while, and I think we're supposed to start contributing again, and so I told her to send something to us, and I guess we can look at it when we meet again, and we can't talk about when we're meeting again, because it's not on our agenda.
No, we can talk about
Okay?
when we meet. That's the one thing you can't talk about without it being posted. And in addition, I believe that we can also even revisit the issue on the Hannah Declaration rate at a subsequent meeting. Because the statute says that we're supposed to get our decision on what multiplier we're going to use by August 7th, which is Friday, but it also says, or as soon as practical thereafter. I think with the amount of time that it took to get the certified rolls and everything in this case around, it would entitle us to hold off on making that report back until after the 7th, which would take us beyond our next regular meeting or our next budget meeting, and I think we'd be okay. In other words, we don't have to make a decision tonight, and we can revisit that issue if it's necessary.
So wait, are you saying that we could potentially make
The
the
decision,
numbers higher so we can get more taxable income?
well, no,
I thought that's what
the only, it's the difference between whether or not we're into that zone where we set a rate that triggers some of the voter approval mechanisms like floating a petition. Because of the hurricane disaster, we're able to use a different multiplier from the one that Senate Bill 2 said. But we have to take action to direct staff to use that multiplier. It's not setting a tax rate, it's just a directive to staff that comes from the governing body saying, calculated using this number rather than this lower number.
But whichever, I don't really quite understand that exactly, but whichever number can give us the best outcome, that's the number I want. Who can figure out that number, because I can't.
And it's further, well, I won't say immaterial, but it's also less of an issue because we fall into a category that, of towns that has a high de minimis rate, which means we're very far away from triggering an election.
No, we're
We have
Yeah.
space.
20 cents away.
Yeah. So.
What does that mean though?
It means that the rate of the town, yeah.
Really high.
Well,
We
it
can
means
raise our
that,
taxes without
that we, yeah, that we don't have to worry about the ability to force the town to reduce the taxes from whatever we set.
So what I'm hearing you saying is we can possibly even put our tax rate that higher without any consequences?
That's right, yes.
So should we consider that? That might make up for $100,000.
I mean, it's,
That's what I'm trying to figure out now. But what I wanna find out is how much a penny's worth. Okay,
Increases it.
how much is a penny worth? Because
Can somebody put it in the math? I don't know how to do that. What you multiply it with. So you're saying put it at 0.36 as opposed to 0.35?
all I'm saying, I wanna know how much a penny's worth so we can figure out how many pennies we need to get where we gotta go.
You need to do that now. I don't know how to do that.
I'm gonna miss this next summer, I'm gonna be thinking about you all.
No, you're not gonna miss it.
Hey. This is in the backyard.
I'm gonna be sitting about
I have it on the Excel spreadsheet.
Would you mind?
but-
You do, you have the penny?
But I can figure it, but I have to go hook back up to the network, so I
So
have
it
to go
means that
back
we need
to.
to
Can
up
you
our
figure it out
tax
really
rate?
quick?
Yeah, you give me a second?
Yeah,
Don't say
because
anything that you want me
I
to
need
read.
to know what a penny's worth right now. There's no way I'm gonna cut $160,000 out of the budget right now.
I mean, if we're dining at 500.
No, we're never gonna get there.
We'll never
We'll
leave.
never get
And
it.
has
And,
this-
and they still want police cars and
Yeah.
They need,
there's no
they
way.
need police.
So
Well,
why,
how long has it
why,
been since you've had a raise?
they might, why we have this large discrepancy?
What?
Matt?
Is COVID responsible
The
for this?
3% that we get
No.
each year, have been with
It
the
was just
town for
what we
15 years.
got.
He overstated revenue last year, is what he did.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking, yeah, because this is a huge difference.
Yep, this time next year, when y'all are gonna be doing this, I'm gonna be sitting in my backyard.
Yeah, he overstated revenue, and I was calling him
Well,
out.
I'll tell you about it.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with COVID or anything, it's just,
Frederick.
No, he overstated revenue.
yeah,
Big time.
constant.
And it's because I remember where it was grant money, and he was overstated.
Because we administer grants in-house.
No. He was trying to get a grant and put it on the budget, and he never got it, so.
Okay. Bad forecasting? Bad forecasting,
That, and
no probability, high forecast. I'm sorry.
plus we're a little, we're, you know, a percent or two lower than what we normally are on collection.
Well, and I like this format that was presented today. I really do. I think it, for us less accounting, knowledgeable folk, I think the format has added a lot more clarity in my head of this whole picture.
We're still on.
It's time to go home.
Unmuted, hopefully.
It's still disturbing.
Huh?
It's still
Would
disturbing.
celebrate our 50 years here. I want to do something for them.
A week ago?
We need to have something. Fish fry.
It's not just one number?
No, God, no, it's a very complicated. There's a bunch of readings and a bunch of stuff.
That
Best
all
practices
becomes
for
one,
towns.
no?
Yeah, it does, but it's not just like values and then people that have
I'm just making sure, because I was like,
all
oh.
you get free on everything.
Small towns.
Okay.
Like, so I just wanted to say from zero, like,
We're trying to figure out how much.
so that's not a big,
No, and I
that's why I was
don't.
asking.
No, she's got it all on the spreadsheet. Probably like $70,000, I would imagine.
I didn't, I zero.
That's my license.
No, I think the penny was $1,000, like it's worth like $70,000.
Your margarita.
Wait, so when you say zero point six, right?
Yeah.
Not
Civil
0.4,
service,
so 0.36.
Yeah.
And 0.37.
Even when you did pay for your education, sometimes it's 40,000.
Maybe, I don't know, actually.
I've never done this before, so.
I'm just speculating.
How much is it? The 1%? 1 penny? 1 penny?
I don't know where this one is.
I can't get any of the charger base to charge, I think I'll install them.
You need one?
No, I've been over here charging for the past 2
Can
hours.
you even help us with the EMT budget too?
I'm 25%.
I know.
It's been charging.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, see, we have 15 million under protest right now.
15 million on the total.
Yeah.
Okay, to go back 10 years ago, we never used one. But it's so close to special.
So we shaved 47,000, so we're.
So we're about 80, we need about 80 more.
Well, that's without any offer requests from development.
No, I didn't know where it was.
You know, we get it colder. You can always wrap up in those sandbags in there. Almost percent.
We went over and put it on. Trying to figure out how you do 1%. I'll be having sun tomorrow. Yeah, I was just like, my jaw dropped when I saw that first rendition on CNN. It was like, it's like an atomic bomb, but it definitely wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah.
But, you know, you didn't see the mushroom. But some of these first tests they did with the A-bombs, they didn't have big mushrooms that were associated with bigger area. Yeah. Some of the first 8 nuclear bombs looked similar to that. They had a stream up with no mushroom. But
There's best practices in accounting
a
also.
lot more like it would be like radiation.
Yeah, they have that.
I can't hear you.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen so many.
Oh, I thought you were.
Like a sun, well, all of just.
Scale of those old fashioned cameras. It'd be so bright, the screen would kind of go black and then it would kind of go back to normal.
Right?
Because it overwhelms the light sensor.
Yeah, and you see the phases of how more powerful, much more powerful the structures that they were finding the strength of the bomb. You would see the first test and the second test, and the ones that were dropping on the islands, and the second test. Holy cow. Yeah, when I was in BC, we went into a spy kind of thing, and the they did that whole conflict, how close we were to a major potential nuclear. Yeah. And it all came down to, okay, we'll increase our missiles and Turkey or wherever. Turkey would want, his main, like, Kennedy was like,
Yeah, those are right on their doorstep.
yeah, it is. Yeah. Oh, okay. What would you, okay, and then the European, also some of
I
that.
think they don't have to be coming in that way.
Yeah, it's because, well, you can tell, they didn't like the fact that area was, will be all over. Yeah. Yeah, Turkey, Maine. Yeah, we'll go into the story.
That's something I'd be really interested in.
That's fine. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It kind of really gives you an idea of all the stuff that was going on, especially during the Cold War, and how it started. As a matter of fact, George Washington, the English and the British was king at the time of the war. Washington, they definitely didn't beat us with the military, he beat us with intelligence, not meaning strategic intelligence, but he had all sorts of spies.
Yeah.
People that were very loyal.
We think of it as a kind of a new thing, a post
Oh,
007 December, they've been spies for centuries.
Yeah, yeah. That's correct. He didn't beat us with military at all. He beat us with his espionage. Mount Vernon was quiet. Everything over there was
Ed,
quiet.
what's your calculation of the levy?
I mean, I can, but also work with it over.
The calculation of that.
Unless I'm getting you a copy right now.
You had that sheet of paper that had the 99 on it.
99,
Yeah.
Where's that?
Just one?
It's in the memo, the Mr. Mess's memo.
This one?
Yeah, but the second page, I think, or third, you're missing the middle page.
Yeah,
There it is.
like since.
I can email you the spreadsheet that we have for this, Mr. Carter, if you want to play with the numbers.
So we go to point four,
Yeah.
point four,
Let's make sure are we on?
Oh, yeah, here's the,
We're still on, okay.
so if we go to point four,
I didn't put it in order because I missed the first one, sorry.
0.454124. That will increase our budget from 126,000. And then we'll just be at our even, but we'll have the 47 extra that we shared before.
Mr. Carter?
There's no way.
It's 5 cents.
What's your vibe on that? What's your vibe on nickel?
It's huge.
Imagine. More,
We're gonna be just,
no, I know. I know what you want to say, Mary.
well, but we're gonna be, we've always prided ourselves on
Yes.
being one of the lowest
Yeah.
in the valley.
Yes.
Chief, what did you just tell me, what's yours in Rio Hondo?
80 juice.
82.
Your city?
Yes, sir.
I know. One,
I'm sorry, I need to close my mouth.
that is, so you're paying twice as much over there.
So, on $100,000 property, you go from what to what?
Setbacks.
It's 5,000 extra a year? No. Something
No.
extra.
No, I think it's 500.
500.
On $100,000.
On $100,000.
Yeah, which
That's-
is nothing, it's our,
What is our average here,
Yeah, well,
250?
our average is probably like 225,
Yeah.
250.
So that would be over 1,000.
Same with the sheets.
Over 1,000.
Yeah.
Well, do you all want to look at these
Does anybody
numbers?
know what the-
Couldn't,
Do you, hold on, I mean, I've got a thought, and she's got a thought, and
Sure.
hold on. Do you all want to adjourn for the evening, look at these figures, and have another, of course we have to have another meeting, but have another meeting soon. Now it's your turn.
Does anybody know what's the tax rates in the cities in our area? Maybe if we can see those numbers. What is about?
74, I can't remember,
78.
74 cents or
Is
76.
it about 78?
74 or 76, I can't remember which, one or two.
And I don't know much about it.
Those Fresnos, I don't know.
Anybody has an idea behind them?
Your turn.
Well, I was just saying that maybe we could do it this year so much and see how well we do this coming year fiscally. And if we have to go up more, then I don't know if that would be available without the hurricane deal. Was that always available to go up without having a created election?
Well, it's not permitting us to go up necessarily, it's just, it's moving the threshold for triggering the election procedures. And basically, right now, as it stands now, keeping it under 53 cents avoids an automatic election altogether. But if you're above 35.8 cents, then there's a possibility that a petition might force an election in May. If you use if you take what I'm calling the Hurricane Hanna rate and direct staff to calculate it based on that, then you can go up as high as 0.372 without triggering the petition procedure.
South Padre is 0.315.
Oh, you'll find it.
Because of the business revenue.
Their tax income.
Yep.
And the properties,
See.
the expensive properties.
Port Isabel is 0.7,
What you said.
Los Fresnos 0.71. Baby 0.25.
My biggest concern, I just can't, how do we go from last year to this year with $150,000 biggest
Yes.
There was some major misrepresentation last year. We've never been in this situation, not in the 5 years I've been mayor. And the years you've been
11. I was counting.
Sorry.
I was way younger. Looks less wrinkles. You too will look like this real soon. I'm sorry, I have a little bit of levity. I really think that we need to call it a day. We've been here for almost 3 hours.
Well, let's look at the numbers you bring, see what that looks like.
What rate do you want me to figure it at? I mean, do you want me to put new, but just add?
And just everything we've told you, like you said, there's some things that you need to plug in or figure out, or that you can, that wasn't quite done right, or
Sure.
those little things.
I'll just leave it at that.
All these numbers we gave
And I
you.
really look at health insurance.
there seem to be some discrepancies.
I think that's a lot of money, I think.
When do we meet again?
Well, we have a meeting on Tuesday, that's our normal.
An hour before?
I don't think an hour's gonna do
Before,
it. So, do we have a long agenda next week? Is there a lot on it?
Anna's working on
my work hours are until 6:30 next week.
You start till 6:30?
I'll be working until 6, starting next week.
It's not a long agenda.
No, I won't think it is. We just got time to meet this week with the 72 hour notice. So we wanted to meet on the weekend. Or Monday,
On Monday.
Monday, we're gonna have a,
CDC, yes,
no,
planning and zoning.
Board of Adjustment.
Okay, that was my next guess.
Going once, going twice.
We have another one?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay, she's working on it. Okay.
What about, what about moving a penny? We've done this before. We've moved a penny from
Yes, we did.
INS to
Immediately
M&O.
now we can go.
Oh, okay.
You can legally do that,
Yes, we've done
okay? Because we're overfunded on our INS, okay? So let's look at, to see how much we can move to keep and use our fund balance out of M&O, out of INS to fund it, okay? That's the only one, we only have one bond that we're paying.
If we move one penny, that'll only give us 25,000 extra. If we move 2 pennies,
That's what I'm saying, let's move as much as
it'll
we can
give us
without,
55,000 extra.
so we can still pay our bond note.
So if we move 2 pennies from the INS, and then maybe move the rate to 3.7,
Then we're,
maybe get
yeah.
that. Are you writing this down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote,
You know what I mean, like,
yeah.
So we did that
use
couple
10,000 of fund balance
Mhm.
out of INS, say we collect 99%, 98%, and then to pay the obligation for this year.
So we can't.
It'll tell me
We can't make the meeting on Tuesday.
So move
You, 6 o'clock?
Well, I have to get here at 6. I'll be
Either Monday or Tuesday, the council.
I can ask to get out of the week.
Monday's your first day.
First week. Or it's because I'm working Monday through Thursday.
Maybe you can zoom in.
From your phone.
On the way over here.
So our town council, our regular scheduled town council meeting is Monday at 6 o'clock.
Monday, Tuesday.
Tuesday, thank you.
The 11th.
It's the 11th.
Yeah, I can make that one for sure.
Do we want to have a budget workshop at 5?
Yes.
4:30?
But Mr. Gonzalez got my.
Well, and I can ask to get out early.
Or sure.
Unless you all want to have it after the town
I'm
council
a
meeting?
Birch retiree, so it's kind of like, yeah, sure.
Or after the council meeting?
After the council meeting, if we can get to the council meeting really quick, 30 minutes, bam, start at 6:30.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Does that
I'm
sound
fine
better?
with- I'm fine
We'll
with
just
it.
make sure that the agenda,
Just very-
Tuesday's agenda is short sleeve.
That sounds good.
Okay,
Mayor.
so we'll have, I'll make a motion to have our workshop Tuesday, August 11th at 6:30.
One second.
Any discussion?
Sorry.
I mean, you don't necessarily need an action on it, because staff understands that that's what we want. But you can take an action on
Oh,
it,
yeah,
yeah.
no, I mean, can you make it, can you stay? Can you-
Oh, yes.
Okay, motion on the floor made by the mayor, seconded by Councilman Smith, to schedule our budget workshop on Tuesday, August the 11th at 6:30, right after our regularly scheduled town council meeting. Okay.
Council
Yes.
Councilwoman Howard, she's not with us on
But she can still, oh, she's not.
she didn't, she
Okay.
left off.
We have a forum.
Councilmember Gonzalez,
Yes?
Councilmember Worrell. Say yes. Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Houston.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. It is 7:45,
I'll
44.
second it. Motion on the floor to adjourn at 7:47 made by Councilwoman Smith, seconded by the mayor.
Councilman Carter,
Yes.
Councilman Howard, Councilman Gonzalez,
Yes?
Councilmember Worrell,
I don't think he's on line.
Councilwoman Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Houston.
Yes.
He was expecting this family.
Thanks,
Oh,
Joel.
sorry.
Oh, he's got family coming in.
So he
Oh, my
said
goodness.